we go. Betting Weekly Live. Here with you on a Friday. It's Friday, baby. Mike Carver here with you along with Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all the action tonight. NBA Cup, a couple NHL games. We've got some college football, lots of college basketball. Feast week well underway here, of course, with plenty of games at neutral sites. We've got all the NFL for this weekend, the college for this weekend. Super busy Friday as we come to you here, of course, Betting Weekly Studios, Bet Rivers Network. Doug, good to see you as always. And of course, we always start with how the Daily Double do last night. Well, LSU was fun, covering 61.5. Unfortunately, on the other side, Josh Allen was on his back all night and couldn't find Shavers for at least a target. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, in the NFL, when these lines are like less than a touchdown for the most part, it's they only were covering 8% of the game, but they still covered at the end. It's like, well, LSU was only covering like not 2 minutes of the game, but obviously
Yep.
it's tough to cover 60.5 for most
tough.
of the game because you start out 0-0. So look, they were clearly the better team. It got a little hairy. My buddy thought they'd win by 75. They did not, but it was on its way to 75 early. They messed around a lot. So, there's certainly a wide variance of skill set in that sport as it continues to evolve. And some of the top teams, I mean, look, LSU scored over 100 points in all 6 games this year. First team to do that since Kim Mulkey was a player back
Wow.
in the day. But it's fun. I have some good sources here and there, as do you, and it really helps sort of cover all bases. And you got to learn to which games to pick, things like that. But it was a fun night last night. Wild in the NFL with what's going on with your Buffalo Bills, Carver. I know it's depressing. I'm telling you, man. Cubs won the World Series. Red Sox won the World Series.
Yeah.
Mickelson finally won a major. This has all happened in the last 25 years. I don't think the Bills are going to get there, just to prepare you.
I don't disagree with you, especially this year. I know that they're not going to get there. That's why it's so important, Doug, in my opinion, that I think if you have maxed out the Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, brain trust in Buffalo with Josh Allen, he's already into his prime years and it's going to start going the other way. You need to go give someone else a chance at the reins to try to get Allen across the line and help him get to that Super Bowl. That's what my focus would be at the end of this season, Doug, is to do that if I'm Terry Pagula and the Bills.
Well, the unfortunate thing for Bills Mafia is that they had their window where they were in it, and it's like, okay, eventually they'll get over the hump because we always assume that sports are incremental. Well, it's not. I mean, ask Dan Marino, right? Second
Yeah.
year in the league, he was NFL MVP. They setting NFL records that later Drew Brees had to break. That's how long they stood, and he never got back to the Super Bowl. So, and not only that, but other teams. So he's still competing with Mahomes and the Ravens and even the Bengals. So those 4 teams are still doing it like they were 5 years ago. But now the AFC East has the Patriots reloaded with Drake May.
Yep.
And now these other teams, like the Chargers, finally got competent and got Harbaugh and Herbert.
Right.
And the Broncos are now in the mix. They got competent with it. They found their quarterback, we think, but they certainly found their coach. And then you get the random seasons like the Colts are having this year. So it's just a lot more teams have entered the chat, as the kids are saying.
And I saw it in the chat box there below here on Betting Week Live. The under did somehow get there, considering how the first half ended with the Ray Davis kickoff return, the Texans getting a touchdown, then in the final 30 seconds. It seemed like the under was finished at that point, but defense rules the day in the second half. Bills tightened up. Josh Allen got absolutely smashed by Will Anderson and the Texans front line and Daniil Hunter. And away you go. The under somehow still gets there at 23-19. So Texans
wasted their hook and ladder 4th and 27 conversion.
Why couldn't they hook and ladder that to Shavers, Doug? Where was Shavers coming across? That would have been a cheap way to get that over 24.5, 23.5 with him.
I think Shakir went over on that first conversion.
He did. He did go over on that one, and he was basically playing on one leg too. Man, the Bills are banged up also after last night. Lots of injuries for them. All right, let's get it to tonight. Of course, we got a full slate on a Friday heading into the weekend. And also don't forget this Monday, new time, 1 hour earlier, 4 p.m. East. We will be starting Betting Weekly Live starting on Monday, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific. Make sure that you reset your dials and your watches and you get involved. You'll give yourself a little extra time to get the card in order for that night's action. All right, NBA first tonight, Doug, because it's Friday, it's NBA Cup, baby. Let's go. 9 games tonight. We'll start, of course, with the TV doubleheader, which is on Amazon Prime this evening. And the Pacers and the Cavs will be the first game that we'll discuss. Cavs right now, they have gotten up to 14.5, 2 tutties and a hook for Cleveland, 239.5 the total.
I just can't get there with Cleveland. They're 5-11 against the spread, so they've been really shaky. And the Pacers are starting to get healthy. We know McConnell's back, Matherin's back. He's in the starting lineup. And this team got their second win of the season the other night when they hosted the Hornets. And I'm mad because I was on Charlotte, but the more I thought about it, it was a good spot to bet Indiana. So they no longer have the worst record in the league. That belongs to the Washington Wizards are 1-13. It's kind of funny. We forgot about them and they're so bad, but they really actually have only one win this year. So Cavs, I can't lay that lumber. I also don't want to grab it with Indy. To be fair, Indy's probably got line value, right? Now that they're healthy. We talk about it all the time, the injuries, things like that. Odds makers don't really know how to evaluate these teams. It's probably a good, the right side. It's just such a big number, but it's NBA Cup, all that nonsense. These numbers, I think, are a little higher in the second half because teams don't dribble out. They keep playing because of point differential potential. So that's something to keep in mind if you're a live better and things like that. But I'm going to go back to Ben Matherin. We had him the other night on his threes. It's funny. I talked about laddering a little bit up to 3. He actually hit a third 3-pointer, but they reviewed it. This was in the first half, and the box score changed because they took it off the board, and then he never got another one. So maybe he's not the gunner we thought. He had 9 the previous game. I don't know how many he had. I think he was 2 of like 5 in the last game. But I think over 1.5, still a good play. I'm going to play that. He is a little bit of a gunner, right? And this team does not have Tyrese Halliburton. Obviously, remember Halliburton last year, sort of ball dominant, kind of like LaMelo Ball a little bit, just willing to kind of dribble all around the half court set. But this ball pops. Matherin's sort of the guy. Neesmith is not playing right now for Indy. He's kind of another gunner for that team. So the ball goes through Matherin a lot, and he's got the green light. So I think over 1.5 in a high total. So these are all reasons I think kind of lend itself when we talk about little edges. I think 141 should be literally like 170. I think it should be that much higher. So that's why I think there's some value here.
He's only played 4 games this year because of injury. Right. And in all 4 games, Doug, he's gotten at least 2 threes. In all 4 games, he has scored at least 24 points, which is also the other side of things. He's filled it up as well so far this year for the Pacers, who, as we know, with no Halliburton, etc., need that little bit of offense from Matherin in those spots. So Pacers and Cavs, the first game tonight. Now, the second game of the TV doubleheader is a real good one because you get the Rockets and the Nuggets in Houston. The Nuggets, of course, 11-3. Joker's been unbelievable, off to another great triple-double run to start the season. The Rockets are 10-3 with KD looking focused and locked in. This right now is Rockets minus 2.5 at Bet Rivers with a 235.5 total.
I've been pleasantly surprised by Houston, right? There's a lot of veterans that just don't have it, and KD's been a nice weapon for them. They're very well coached. We knew that going into the season with Ime Udoka. 10-3, really solid year so far, and they're kind of playing hungry, right? They're 9-4 against the spread. They've won some big games, but if you look at this recent run they're on, they've kind of been beating up on, I don't want to say the bad teams because they've beaten the Cavs and Magic, but they're also been beating up on bad teams. I just think they're really solid. But they're also they deal with injuries, things. I think they've been getting teams to play their way. And the Nuggets, I mean, I know he's not a household name, but Christian Brown, the Kansas product, been really good, had a big contract in the offseason. Since he's been out, they've been a little off. So I think with 235.5, like Rockets they're getting teams to come down to their level. Like they beat the good teams, but but they beat them in lower scoring games. Cavs 114-104, Magic 117-113. But then they beat up on the Wizards and some of these other. So I think these lower scoring teams that are willing to play defense, I think their double big lineup forces teams. So I lean under here. It's just a lean.
I like it, Doug, because this was the first time today that I actually went and looked at like the standings of the NBA Cup. Now, I know that that sounds really ridiculous, and this is going to be something that I'm going to get to later with a play that I like tonight. But this is the only division of the NBA Cup where all the teams are 1-1. There's no 2-0 team. So the winner of this game tonight, Doug, and I know it sounds silly, like, do these guys care? We talked about this when the NBA Cup started. They care about getting to Vegas and getting that bag that kind of comes at the end of it.
Half a million, yeah.
The winner of this game is going to be in control of this this division in the West. They're going to be 2-1. The other team's going to have 2 losses. So these are the 2 best teams there. The Warriors are in there with them too, but this is a big game in terms of who's going to win this division in the NBA Cup. So that's also something plays to the under for me, that it could be tight and close late if they care.
Awesome. I like it. I like that rationale.
If they care, of course, which you never know. So Nuggets and Rockets, really good. How about Mathurin over 20.5 at -110?
I don't dislike it. I just worry because they have a lot of depth. And okay, so a lot of times when we talk about these props, it's like, I don't know, AJ Green or Sam Hauser or these guys that only shoot 3. So it's really, they're always correlated. It's like over 2.5 or over 10.5 points. This is really tough because, but I just think the way, I don't know, the way Matherin is, I just think he can get to the line, do all that stuff. So he can certainly go over with 1-3, but I think there are more scenarios where he has 2+ threes, but under 20.5.
Right. Absolutely. And look, this is also, remember, it's a 14.5 spread. This game could be a blowout. We've already told you he's only played 4 games this year, so they're not going to push him and have him play 35 plus minutes in a game that they might be getting whacked in. So that's another thing that you have to kind of consider also. I'm on the unders in the Rockets Nuggets game. Legend Killer involved with us as well, Doug, for that under tonight in H-Town. All right, let's do a few of these other NBA Cup games for tonight. OKC in Utah against your Jazz, who just, 5-9 to start the year. But they have a tough chore tonight against the 15-1 Thunder. 16.5 with the 233.5.
Honestly, it's probably too high. I think the Jazz just come at you, but the Thunder, remember, have a really good second and third unit. So this is the one team where those reserves kind of are outmatched. But I do think Utah invites people to sort of look past them a little bit. It's part of the road trip. Now, the Thunder are in their division and things like that. It's not like a typical East Coast team coming out west, one of 6 games on a West Coast trip. But these first half overs tend to fly with Utah because they come out gunning. Lauri Markkanen's fantastic. He really is. And all these guys being healthy now, George, Keontae, I forget which is which, but he's awesome as well. So those 2 guys, Markkanen's already been an all-star. I think George is probably a future all-star. 120.5 is too low, man. These guys go up and down. Thunder hate it, but they'll probably get conned into playing an up and down game. So as good as OKC is, I think the Jazz are the ones setting the tone, and they're really good at home. And Will Hardy, he's in the tabloids a little bit, went on a date with Kristen Cavallari. Look at, I'm exploring all avenues here. I do my research, but no, I was just playing around. But it is true that did hit the tabloids recently this week. Over 120.5 in the first half is my play on this game.
Good for Will. They're getting involved. Nice job. So Thunder and Jazz tonight. Also in the same group, I should say. I was calling it a division before. It's a group. Group A in the West. Minnesota into Phoenix against the Suns. Timberwolves -4.5, 231.5 the total.
So this is interesting. I was looking at it, and look, Minnesota's obviously a really good team on paper, and they have a really good coach, and Chris Finch I like. But if you look at their games, they've really just been beating up on bad teams. So their wins of the last like 10 games have come against the Wizards, Mavericks, Kings, Jazz, Kings, Jazz, Nets, Hornets. Okay. not exactly murder's row.
Yeah.
And then intermixed with all that are their losses against the Nuggets, Knicks, Lakers, Nuggets. Okay. So all the good teams they play. So I'm going to grab the 4.5 at home with Phoenix. Now, obviously, the Wizards can cover the T Wolves can cover any game. They're really good and can go off, things like that. But this is a team typically that has been hot and cold really because of whoever they're faced up. So I'm going to go with which I think is a playoff team right now. I think they're the 10th seed and take them plus the points. One note though, with the Wemby injury, he was like minus 250 to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Now that he's out and he's going to come back, and if he stays healthy the rest of the year, he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. But if he gets hurt again, the 65 game minimum, really tough to bet. So I think the market for Defensive Player of the Year is super interesting. Chet Holmgren's now the favorite, and it comes down to game. I think Rudy Gobert, who's won like 4 of these, 60-1, 60-1, and that their on-off splits with him are off the charts. I've made worse bets. Carver.
I have to at that point. That makes me think also, who was the guy last year I wanted and I played her in the middle of the year? Oh, the Great Barrier Thief on Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Dyson, he got he should have got more recognition last year.
Yeah, perimeter guys are tough. I mean, Marcus Smart won it, but it was a bogus. So, like, he's Dyson Daniels, Amen Thompson, these perimeter defenders,
Right.
Lou Dort,
Difficult.
Oscar Thompson's also in the mix. All part of it. I think this. I mean, look, awards markets are already fake markets, okay? Because it's not like power ratings or anything.
Right.
So anything that's votable is all fake market, right? Draft, all that. I don't think odds makers have a clue what's going on. And Chet Holmgren's the favorite, but like, is he really Defensive Player of the Year? And who's to say he's not going to get hurt? He gets hurt every year, right? So Mobley's in the mix. I think Bam Adebayo, unfortunately, he's missed time, but people love his defense. Draymond's in the mix. Then the teams start campaigning. So I mean, Giannis is 100-1. Like, I've made worse bets than that, right?
I agree, because you're right. That it does come down to, especially when you get to January, February, March, the campaigning starts. I remember with Draymond last, they all started, Draymond's having a great defensive year, and suddenly he started moving up the board out of nowhere just because they started talking about it. It's just those NBA awards, as you say, Doug, they grab on a kind of a life of their own with narratives. This is I guess you could say as I like to say, the tee it high and let it fly game of the night. Miami is in Chicago against the Bulls. The Bulls are 2.5, but look at this, Doug. I mean, you got to love it. 249.5 tonight. Let's go.
I had a feeling when I saw this number, I was like, oh, Carver's going to love this one.
Oh, I love it.
Pretty ridiculous in terms of this. So this is a way where I think props are a good way to attack. For me, it's Kobe White. Now, he's recently returned from injury. He's not playing back-to-backs, things like that. He's off the bench for now, but he's a gunner, and he can shoot the lights out. And it's one of those things, kind of like Pritchard. We talked about it now that he moved into the starting lineup. He's not always facing the best defenders, things like that. Or sorry, last year he wasn't. This year he is. He's going to find some openings, and he can sling it, and he can get on a heater like no other. So maybe he's even worth a ladder. He played 30-plus minutes. Honestly, this is a really good spot to bet the Heat, probably first quarter, first half. The Bulls were running on fumes, blew a 20-something lead in the fourth, hit a three-pointer at the gun in Portland when they were down 2 to win by 1. I think the Bulls are going to be a little flat in this game, but I do think the Heat, who've been on a roll themselves, will probably be a good bet on team in this spot. But I think the three-pointer prop, I mean, they're going to run things through Kobe White. The guy is a machine, and he can bomb. So it's not a big number for the prop for a guy like last year who was always 3.5 and sometimes 4.5. I think over 2.5 threes is a really good bet for Kobe White.
Giddy triple-double plus 215 in that game, too. There could be a lot of back and forth, up and down, all over the place. He's had a bunch of them this year. Jaquez, over 12.5 rebounds and assists at minus 130. Scott's throwing one in there in the chat box for Jaime Jaquez tonight. Never know.
I mean, again, with this kind of a total, that's the way to roll.
Gotta have it. Props are fun when you got a 249.5 staring you in the face. All right, this is the one, Doug, that caught my eye when I was looking at the group standings for tonight. Toronto is 2-0 in Group A in the East. They've beaten Cleveland already. They are already in the plus 20s in terms of point differential, which matters in this stuff as you get down to tiebreakers. They have a chance to essentially lock up Group A if they smash the Wizards tonight. They get to 3-0. They pound them and get up in the 40s or 50s with the point differential. Minus 13.5 for Toronto, who's been on a heater anyway, as it is, against an awful Wizards team. I love it, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that the Wizards only have one win. They started the year 1-1, and they have 12 straight losses. Pretty bad. They're doing some things that are like decent, though. I actually think their coach is okay. So they have Kaishan George, they have CJ McCollum, Middleton, Sar's been in and out of the line. Bagley's actually been playing okay off the bench. This team isn't a waste of space, kind of that like previous Wizards versions have been. So I want to give them a little bit of credit. They are 3-11 against the spread, and their defense is horrendous. So they're essentially tanking this year. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? It's a great draft. There's no need for them to get better. We know the second half of the season they're going to be sitting Middleton for the most part, McCollum a lot of nights. Probably going to trade those guys, and that's why they're playing. I agree. It's Raptors or pass. I just Washington doesn't. Sorry, Toronto doesn't strike me as a team that blows out a lot of teams. That would be my only element of concern here.
That does play into it a little bit because they're usually not in that spot, right? They've kind of been this team that they're ascending a little bit this year, and hopefully tonight they learn. Doug, tonight's the night they learn. Rajakova, Darko gets them in the locker room. Let's pound this team tonight, and we can get ourselves one step closer to maybe going to Vegas in a couple of weeks. So let's go with the Raptors. All right, the best of the rest. Any interest in the Celtics laying 14.5 at home against the Nets tonight with a 222?
No, I don't think I have interest in that. I know the Nets are bad and they just beat them by 14, but I think the Nets are, I don't know, they're like playing a little better these days.
Yeah.
I would look at Celtics team total. Remember the other night we had them over 60.5 first half, and I think they needed 36 or 38 in the second quarter to get there. I do think Brooklyn's defense is bad. I have a funny feeling about this game. Like this one could come down to the wire. So,
Mm.
but maybe the legend killer, Peyton Pritchard. I don't think of double doubles when I think of him. And they said in the last game was that
He got one
I'm
last
going to
time.
look
Now
it
they
up right
played the
now.
other night, last game.
Was
It
it
was the last
assists
game
or
they played
rebounds? It was
earlier this week.
rebounds. Okay,
Wow.
I don't not. I do not think he's going to get a double double with rebounds. His season high of rebounds before that was he did have one other game of 10, but before all the other ones were 6, 5, and 3. So pretty rare that he gets 10 rebounds. 3-pointers, I think, are a better one. He's finally shooting the lights out. His last 3 games are 5, 8, and 5. So he's having now the season that we thought he would have. I would actually look to his threes. Maybe he sort of shook off, like, I don't know, the weird new starting rotation thing. Pritchard over 3.5 is plus 132. I'd look at that.
Scott's needs there. Giddy Joker triple double parlay at plus 520. Well, now you're speaking my language. I mean, this is great Happy Meal bet type of stuff. Throwing both of those guys in on a triple double tonight while I watch my eyes bleed from the NBA Cup courts. Yes, that I am all about a fun bet like
You
that.
I don't know. I think the Rockets might be a team that could bother him just because they got Steven Adams and whatnot. Have you seen like some of the stats that Jokic is doing? I
Yeah,
mean, leading the league in assists
everything.
and stuff like, I mean, it's just outrageous what he's doing. He's like Larry Bird and like Magic combined. It's crazy.
And now they've been also floating around, Doug, all the ones like for like the last decade and the last 10 years,
Mm.
15 years, and how he's already the best in all of those
Like
categories.
the counting stats, the volume. Yeah.
Yeah, of all of it so far. It's just he has been amazing. All right, I think there's two I missed. Pelicans, Mavs. Whew, Mavs minus
Have
4,
fun with that game.
234. No, I don't think we have much interest in those two teams with how they've played. Uh, Portland and the Warriors tonight. Again, this is another lots of stuff with the injury report. We're still a few hours away from game time, but the Warriors are 9.5 at home with the 236.5.
Feels too high. Portland's good, man. They really
Yeah.
are. I think Splitter's doing a nice job. I was worried, with the coaching change. I loved Chauncey. Didn't know anything about Splitter, but this team hasn't missed a beat. They're loaded, man. they're loaded. If like a stud went there, like let's say randomly, like Giannis went there, like they could win it all. Like that's
Yeah.
how good they are. Now they would have to give up some pieces to get him, but they have some legit players and they play hard. And guys like Donovan Clingan have been really good. So I just think they're a really tough out, so to speak, and that's why they have such a hard home court. Obviously, this one's in the Bay Area, but 9.5 is a big number. And
Yeah.
for me, it's just like Steph is just the wild card with it. You just don't know. He can just take over games and go bananas. So it's really hard. There's no real line value when it comes to the Warriors because of Steph's sort of X factor.
Yep, you never really know what night he's gonna just hit 8 or 9 threes and, and drop 40 on you. It's just it's tough with him. There you go. NBA Cup tonight here on Betting Weekly Live. Also at Bet Rivers, NBA Friday SGP Profit Boost. Log into your Bet Rivers app or go to betrivers.com on your account each Friday to receive a profit boost for any NBA same game parlay. Profit boost is dependent on the number of legs included. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. I will log on, Doug, and use mine on the Heat Bull game since it's 249.5, and that's where I'll throw the props together for the SGP in a wild one like that. So you got some good options with the NBA Cup.
Or you have your Joker Giddy
Oh,
parlay, triple double parlay.
get that cooking as well moving forward. All right, NBA for you. All right, NHL. Only 4 games on Friday night. NHL Network will have the Wild and the Penguins in Pittsburgh. I believe this is the Penguins' first game back since being in Stockholm last week. I remember the Penguins and the Predators were in Sweden playing. So they have had a lot of time off since Sunday, getting back, and now they're at home. And as you say, it should always be the Igloo, the PPG arena there in Pittsburgh. Penguins are favored minus $1.24. The total's a flat 6. I don't know, Doug. The Wild had a good win the other night against Carolina at home. I don't know how to rate a team being off for 5 or 6 days after playing in the middle of Europe. That's tough with the Penguins. So no go for me tonight.
I would agree. It's tough to get a read on these teams, and that's okay. And that's okay. You don't have to force it.
No.
That's the odds makers. I think I've told the story, but it's worth mentioning. I used to ask the odds makers. Gosh, it's been like 10, 12 years of load management, right? So I'd ask them these NBA overnights thing. I'm like, how do you put up a line? They're like, what do you mean? Like, we get two-way action on these things. Like, we'll put up a line on 2 kids racing a bike if we're going to get two-way action. The problem is you guys. He's like, you guys have to bet this stuff, and you only bet one side, and it's a guessing game. So yeah, there's odds on this. But this is a fake number. It's not like they really know what the true power rating is, but they're getting two-way action because the reach of a sports book has so many betting customers, if you will. But it's not like those people know anything, unless there's like inside info or whatever. But other than that, it's a guessing game for us, and that's why it's so difficult. So no need to pull the trigger here.
No need to do that whatsoever. Also tonight, Chicago is in Buffalo against the Sabres. The Blackhawks yacked up a 2-0 lead last night against Seattle, which was very unfortunate for me. They are dogs tonight in Buffalo. The Sabres should never be favored against anyone, but I'm not sure I want to trust Chicago on the second night of a back-to-back. Here's what if there was anything in this game for me, Doug, it's the over. You look at these Sabre games, especially at home. I mean, 6-2, 5-1, 5-4, 6-3, 5-2, 6-3. Sabres have had a pretty good run here of high-scoring games. Chicago, second night of a back-to-back. I don't know if they're up to that challenge, but Bedard has been so hot that maybe he is. So it's over or nothing with Chicago and Buffalo tonight.
So the Blackhawks let us down yesterday, but there
Yes.
seems to be some line value here, though. Like you said, the Sabres shouldn't be favored over anyone. It is back to back for Chicago, but is there a little bit of a bounce back spot with a better team off a loss, even back to back in travel?
It's I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I would definitely, if I had to lean on a side one way or the other, I'm playing the Blackhawks probably 9 times out of 10 over the Sabres here. I would take that plus 138 and try to see if Bedard maybe can pop me a couple goals. I'm sure they're going to play the backup because Knight played last night, I'm pretty sure. So they're probably going to have their backup goalie in, which also probably shades to that Sabre number being so big as it is. But I don't mind, Doug, if we want to go for the Blackhawks here this evening. Buffalo's so bad. They are an awful team. And it's stunning to see that kind of a line with them. Really good game in Winnipeg with the Hurricanes and the Jets. Of course, last year, two of the best teams in the NHL. Jets haven't gotten out to the best start. Hurricanes have been pretty good, and they are road favorites here with a total 6.5. I don't particularly love anything here. Jets plus money at home, you don't see that very often, pretty much never. So, but Carolina is a monstrous regular season team, Doug. They're tough to deal with, and they're coming off a loss in Minnesota to the Wild.
Okay, yeah, but you've picked the Jets pretty well this year. So if you like them, that's a good sign, at least in my eyes.
Yeah. Look, I just think like you were just saying, line value. You never get the Jets dogs at home. Carolina is probably the only team, maybe, and Colorado. Colorado and Carolina are probably the only teams that can go into Winnipeg and let you get some plus money with the Jets. And that's it. It's a very short list. And the one I do want to go with tonight is late night overs, baby. Why not? They did it again at the Shark Tank last night, Doug. They did get it done for us. 4-3, Sharks and
4-2.
Kings.
Well, 4-3, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
It was late. Now, the other game was a push, that Canucks 10 in a row. That was 4-2, Dallas and Vancouver. But late night at the Shark Tank did get through with 7 goals with the Kings. So the Kings are on the second night of a back-to-back in this one. I kind of like the Bruins tonight. They lost in Anaheim the other night. They haven't had to travel. You know that. Just down the freeway as they're going to be at the Crypto this evening. It's just a big number. Kings second night off of a loss last night to San Jose. I understand that. 195 is a lot. Bruins have played good enough hockey the last couple of weeks that plus 155 is I think a pretty good grab at them. So that's the one side I like tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd have to do some research of like just teams, but beat LA, Boston, LA, little rivalry here, but it's a road trip, all that stuff. It just feels like a high price for the Kings against the Bees.
And we've talked about this with the Rangers, and sometimes there's really no way to kind of understand it or explain it. The Kings are 1-4-2 at home this year. They've been bad at home at the Crypto. So that's also something that you kind of just go, what's going on there? But I like Boston tonight. They didn't play poorly in Anaheim the other night. They had a nice comeback, fell short late in the game. So we'll go with the Bees. Now, before we
quick cutting you off, I also want to cut you off there. So is there going to be correction on that? Because just quick look at the standings from last year. The Sharks were awful, so they obviously had a bad home record. The Blackhawks last place, bad home record. But for the most part, like everyone else, winning record at home.
Yeah.
So do you think there's going to be some correction there, some regression, as we like to say?
Yeah, and the Kings are a very strange team, Doug. And I was talking to a Kings guy, my guy Denny, the other day about this. The Kings were the absolute opposite last year. They were incredible at home, and they couldn't win on the road. And now this year, they are we're 9-2-3 on the road and 1-4-2 at home. So it's just kind of strange how some of these teams get off to those starts. And Kings, Rangers, very similar here. But I think you're right about some of that course correction that goes on eventually. But second night of a back-to-back, I'm rolling Boston tonight with the big number in LA against the Kings. And one other hockey note for this weekend as we continue to look ahead, and that is Seattle is playing a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, Pittsburgh tomorrow, and then they are on the island to see the Islanders at UBS late afternoon, 5 p.m. East. We mentioned this a few weeks ago. Seattle, horrible second leg of a back-to-back on the road, Doug. Horrible in those spots.
Well, we've talked about it. The Kraken have yet to win a back-to-back in their existence. I mean, think about that. How often do we get to say that? Never have they done that. Now, this money line is going to be massive, but they also, I think, what is it, 0-12, 0-13? I think the Kraken have not covered the puck line in all but one of them. So I think if I'm going to get involved, I'll get involved in the Islanders puck line, but we could throw them on with a parlay. And we're going to talk NFL momentarily. It is Sunday afternoon. Could be a nice little parlay piece if I'll just mention it because we're going to talk about it. Chiefs Colts. I mean, that three and a, that hook is bothering me. It's going to be Chiefs season is on the line. Maybe the Islanders get you to remove the 3.5, and it's Chiefs money line with the Islanders money line, and maybe an even money bet.
Why not? There's a lot of afternoon hockey on Sunday that you could do that, and the Islanders are the spot. And the Islanders, by the way, have been on fire. They are coming home after winning 6 out of 7 on the road. So a 7-game roadie that they won 6 of those, and now they play St. Louis and Seattle at home Saturday and Sunday. So the Isles will be on a second of a back-to-back too, but both games in their building, and they're playing some really good hockey. So we're going to have to go play against Seattle on Sunday in the NHL. All right, you mentioned NFL. Let's do it. Week number 12 underway, of course, with Houston's win over Buffalo last night, but we have all these games on Sunday to get to. Why don't we start there with the Colts and the Chiefs? Because this is a very, very interesting game, Doug. I'm looking forward to this one a lot because the Chiefs are 5-5. We know all the deal with them. They're out of the playoffs picture right now. The Colts are 8-2. They kind of been out of nowhere 8-2. I don't think anybody thought with Daniel Jones they would be this good. And here they are with a big moment against the Chiefs, who have been the dominance of the AFC forever. Will the Colts step up here, getting 3.5 points in KC on Sunday?
So the wave of emotions I have felt towards this game has reminded me of USC at Oregon, where the line came out. I thought of the dog. I'm like, that's too many points. And then the more I talk to people that I respect who do this for a living, things like that, the sharp guys I know are on the Chiefs. They don't love the extra hook, but they just think all hands on deck. Casey will get it right. And today, by the way, Daniel Jones, I think, popped up on the injury report a little bit. So that could be a factor. Casey, they're 0-5 in one score games. Usually these regression things happen from a season to season, right? Last year, weren't they 11-0? If not, it's like 10-2 or something like that.
Right.
Pacheco is out. That's the one thing. Now the Chiefs are getting healthy elsewhere. But I think the Chiefs, all hands on deck, get this win. They haven't been like bad. You know what I'm saying? Like the games they've lost, like the
Right.
Bills beat them, but like that Eagles game, remember it was like off Kelsey's arms in the end zone. The Jaguars loss on Monday night was fluky, the deflected pick six and things like that. So it's not like the Chiefs are jumping off the screen like, guys, they've lost it. This is not the same team. Like they do kind of look like the same team. It's just last year they got the breaks with block field goals and whatnot. But the NFL is a razor thin margin of error. I think they kind of get it done at Arrowhead. But I am going to play the money line instead. And frankly, I'm going to parlay it with the Islanders like we discussed. I'd rather lay the $1.86 than 3.5 points because I do think the Colts are pretty good. They have an elite offense. Their defense is terrible. Casey should score every time they have the ball. And if Daniel Jones is nicked up and whatnot, and it's still Daniel Jones on the road, and we saw Darnold throw 4 interceptions, we're starting to see these, you know, Cinderella stories of quarterbacks have a little,
Turn into
pull
a
the
pumpkin.
Scooby Doo mask. The Scooby Doo mask is coming off, and there's like, oh yeah, it's still Daniel Jones. So I think this is a game where, again, all the sharp people have kind of convinced me, or at least given me pause. Uh, I think the right side is going to be the Chiefs here.
I would love to see the Chiefs lose, but I gotta. I'm
I
kind of
hear you.
I'm kind of in your corner here with this. 3.5 is super scary, as you know, in a game like this, and the way the Chiefs have been playing these games too. All these Chief games have been kind of down to the end and down to the wire. I think Chiefs money line, putting it with the Isles, or even if you want to put it with something else, whatever it is on Sunday, that might be a fun way to go about it. Now you mentioned that the scoring with the Chiefs, so 50 is a pretty big number.
Yeah.
You think you lean to the over in terms of the total?
Oh, the Chiefs are tough because they have a really good defense. Spagnuolo is awesome, and that's why I think this is. I talked to some KC sharp guys, and they live in KC, and they said this is Spagnuolo's with Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, and Mahomes' best team because of that defense, and then the weapons, and you finally got the guys getting healthy, and we all thought they were going to go on a run a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
but that's not been the case. I just if the Colts could this could be a game where the Colts get smacked, right? This could be 30-13 kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be because Jonathan Taylor's excellent. I think they're a legit sort of playoff team. Um, I think 50 is pretty high though. That's a high number. And the Chiefs sometimes shoot themselves in the foot, settle for field goals, and red zone defense is really the thing that's changed the last few years across the league. So remember, we saw all those unders for a while. It was really red zone defense playing zone, shell, safety, two safeties and everything underneath, and teams weren't running the ball enough. And that was why we were getting so many field goals inside the red zone. And I think that's changed a little bit. The market's caught up, but I think 50 would give me some pause.
The Steelers visit Chicago against the Bears on Sunday. Of course, the Bears 7-3, and they've been winning some crazy games. A couple of come from behind wins for them. The Steelers come to town with this quarterback situation. So Aaron Rodgers is officially questionable going into this game. He's got a fracture in his left wrist. Obviously, he throws with his right hand. Mason Rudolph is there. I saw a video of Tomlin today, Doug, where he kind of made it seem like he's going to play, which I think is pretty wild considering he's got a fracture in his left wrist. Bears minus 2.5, 45.5. I got to tell you, I actually really like the Steelers if Mason Rudolph plays. I think Rudolph can move them a little bit. He's done it in the past, coming in a spot start, and I actually like them a lot if he's in there.
I'm all over the place with this game. I think Rodgers, look, Steelers aren't going to win it all. So I can see Rodgers forcing this game, right? Because it's the Bears and he had all those years with the Packers and he kind of owned Chicago. So I could see him wanting to play this game badly. And by the way, they are now the first place Chicago Bears. And I wonder, this team's won 6 or 7 in a row. And I think I've lost, half my life savings betting against them the last few weeks just because the NFL is all about regression. I mean, I guess they're just going to win every game and cover. But I do think I talk about professional maturity. Like, is this team good enough? I mean, if you just think about their media availability all week after the Lions lose, right, on Sunday, it's like, can they handle the chatter, the buzz of being in first place and just the extra pressure and things like that? Can they handle their business? The problem is I hate the Steelers. I think they stink unless they get a million turnovers, and I've lost money betting against them every week. These are two teams I want to fade. I'd probably take Pittsburgh. I know a really sharp guy on the dog here. I just think it's Steelers should be getting 3. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Bears, I mean, they have a really good offensive play caller, right? And Ben Johnson. And I agree with Henry here. Like, Rudolph stinks. But he's also cost me some money. And we've seen a resurgence of some of these veteran quarterbacks who were journeyman backups or lost causes that now have come back, so to speak. It's an ugly game, and I'm going to be mad because one of these teams is going to cover, and I like betting against either of them. So whoever doesn't cover, I'm going to be mad at myself for not betting against them.
When you talk about the Bears and handling this kind of place that they're in right now, they got a big standalone game at home against the Eagles on Black Friday, just peeking right around the corner. Now, they shouldn't be looking ahead to anything because they're the Bears, and this is their first time doing this. But, Tomlin as a dog is an autoplay for Frankie the Fixer. Not always. I know he's at home sometimes, but maybe not on the road. I think I'm going to hope that this somehow finds 3, Doug, by Sunday. Maybe
very well. It could very well. I do know sharps on the dog here, so maybe the market will never get there.
Late window, 4:25 East, the Eagles and the Cowboys in Dallas. Of course, these two teams opened the season on Thursday night in Philadelphia. That was the game that was screaming over, and then the Lightning came and everything stopped. The Eagles ended up getting the win. Eagles minus 3, 47.5 at Bet Rivers right now. So that's down. It was 3.5 for most of the week, Doug.
Well, it's the Eagles can't score, right? Their offense has been putrid. And the Cowboys with Quinnen Williams and everything, and I actually applauded the trade. I was one of the few people who liked trading Micah Parsons and who liked acquiring Quinnen Williams. They can now stop the run. And I give Schottenheimer a lot of credit. I made fun of McCarthy all these years. The team this is a competent team now, where it wasn't the case with McCarthy. I think Schottenheimer knows what he's doing. And I like the fact that he's Marty's son, who's taken 2 decades to get his first head coaching job, as opposed to Callahan, who was 34 and had no business getting that Titans job. So I like that Schottenheimer's paid his dues. I think they're a well-coached team. I think they're a competent team. Now they beat up on all the bad teams, but that's also a sign of a good, well-coached team. Like they smoked the Raiders, they smoked the Panthers. They beat up on bad teams and they've lost some tight ones to the good teams. Now the question is, can the Eagles score enough? I like the under here. I think
Mhm.
Dak's been really good, but this Eagles defense is something else. I think this is a 20-13 game, 20-17, 16-10. I'm not sold the Eagles are going to win. I think they are, but I wouldn't be shocked if like the Cowboys eke out a terrible 20-16 win or something like that. But I think this one's staying under, man. I really like the under here.
And look, and you saw it on the bottom of the screen. The Eagles have all kinds of injuries on the offensive line with Lane Johnson and with Jurgens, and they are going to have some problems in that fishiest line of the week. Have to take the Cowboys
Well,
there.
and the rift in the locker room with AJ Brown and
Yeah,
not getting the ball. I like Jalen Hurts, but something is up there in Philly. It's
it
the most dysfunctional 8-2 team I've seen in a long time, right?
really is. Sunday night game is in Los Angeles. Bucks and the Rams. So Baker and Matthew Stafford should be a fun one here. This has got now a 7. Rams -7 with the 49.5. Big total. POINTS, Doug. Points, points, points.
Yeah, two things I want to say. So I know a sharp bet came in on Bucks +7, moved the market, then it came back up. I'm surprised because the Bucks are pretty good, but they just went to Buffalo, and now they got to go all the way out west to LA. It's not so much the crowd in LA, it's the travel. And the Bucks have banged up with injuries. Look, Bucky Irving's out. They're beat up. A lot of those receivers are beat up. The Rams are on a roll. They took care of business a week ago. I do. There's a big stat though. Like Sean McVay with the Rams when he has back-to-back overs, the next game is under. So I originally was looking at the over here. Now I'm on the under. Just from that trend. I do think there's some like McVay doesn't he
Mm.
kind of likes to zag when things are zigging and stuff like that. So I'm now like pulling back a little bit. I'm a little uneasy here. Rams off a big win too. So that was a big win. But now teams usually come out flat, things like that. So you gotta be careful here. And Baker Mayfield, I think, nicked up a little bit. Remember, he hadn't got any rushing yards in like consecutive games. Then he runs a bunch last week, but he had that growing injury. And I think he just kind of went for it. I bet you he doesn't run much this week. And I don't think that growing thing's healthy. I think he played with fire last week. So I'd be looking at his under rushing props, and then I'd be looking at the under here. I think this is a really tough handicap.
Tough game with the Bucks and the Rams Sunday night under the lights on NBC. All right, I always give you a couple touchdowns on Friday. Last week we did get a pretty big one with Christian Watson, who was in the threes that we got. I'm going Jamison Williams here because, as I told you earlier in the week, I think the Lions are going to smash the Giants on Sunday. And the Giants' pass D stinks. Jamison Williams has been scoring the last few weeks. I think we can get him in at plus 160. I agree with you on leaning towards an under type of game with the Eagles and Cowboys, but if anyone's going to get in for the Eagles, I think it's Devonta Smith against a somewhat suspect Cowboy secondary there if we can get him. So 148 for Smith, I like, and I'm probably going a little too far out in a limb because I usually like one a little deeper for you, Doug, for the third shot.
Right.
Kyle Pitts for Atlanta against the Saints on Sunday. No Drake London. Cousins is going to be in there. I feel like Cousins, this is going to be his. Now, people thought this when Cousins first went there before they turned to Penix, that Pitts would kind of be his guy like Hawkinson was in Minnesota and everything in the past. I got a feeling Pitts this week. It's calling to me, Doug. I don't know where else I can go. There's no one else to throw to. Plus 240 for Pitts. I think he finds the end zone in New Orleans.
I think the Saints are a banger, to be honest.
Mm,
Saints major sharp money came in at pick, so that's why it's 2.5.
wow.
I mean, you're telling me no London and no Penix. Not that Penix is great, but Cousins
Yeah.
stinks. Unless he's just going to play vanilla, and then you can count on him to play okay. I just think he's a statue, doesn't want to get hit. Not that New Orleans is any prize or Tyler Shook's any MVP, but I don't know how often that team's going to find the end zone. That would be my concern. It's 40.5 and they're underdogs. So you're looking at like what, an 18.5 team total. So
Tougher
two
watch on
touchdowns, two
Sunday.
touchdowns. So they're going to get one of their 2 touchdowns.
Tougher watch. Falcons Saints, Browns Raiders. Both in the
Oh,
4 o'clock window. Who's the
well,
tougher watch?
yes is the answer. But Browns Raiders is getting the big screen because it's a tougher watch, right?
Under.
Because it may not be a tough watch because it can be so extreme. Like it's like blizzard football when it's 3-0 might be the final, yet it's indoors.
Yeah.
How about the over under tonight at Allegiant compared to Sunday at
Well,
Allegiant? Right, we're getting the Hawaii game where,
I'm about to
but
get there.
it's
We're
be
about
30-point difference, right?
to
30
tee
more
that one
points
up.
expected tonight.
Yep.
I'm fired up for Raiders Browns because it's going to
Oh
be
boy.
fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. I think Falcons Saints is going to stink, and it's in
Yeah.
the afternoon. By the way, that's an afternoon game as well. But
Right. They're both in the
I
4 o'clock in the second window.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Raiders will be must see TV. But it's a fair question because you're going to have more competent play. But I guess it's like that thing where it's going to be so egregious, it's
Right.
worth watching. Whereas Saints and Falcons will resemble an NFL game,
Yeah.
whereas the other one won't.
It
And it's
will.
just it's going to resemble a bad NFL game. So
Oh
I've
boy.
seen Falcons Saints before. I have not seen what I'm about to see on Sunday at Allegiant.
Browns money line, Shador over 1.5 passing touchdown parlay. That's a be sweating that one out. We were sweating the
I don't
one out
understand the
possibly.
steam on the Raiders. I really don't. I think the
Yeah.
Browns are the bet.
Of course, if you like what you're watching, as you should be subscribing to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. Not only can you check out us on Betting Weekly Live, but our other shows released earlier today. Betting Weekly Extra Time. Dan Roebuck, Steve Wist, and James Eastham as they preview Week 12 in European soccer, including the Milan Derby on Sunday. Betting Weekly Extra Time. Dan, Steve, and James, they've got you all covered there. So make sure you go to the channel and check that out. All right, Doug, let's blast through the college stuff now, football and basketball. 2 games tonight. Florida State is in Raleigh against NC State, where I believe they've now gotten to a full tutty. It's either 6.5 or 7. I was looking on Bet Rivers before for Florida State, and that is a 6.5 right now with a big 59. 59 seems heavy for this game, Doug.
Yeah, that NC State defense leaves a lot to be desired. I'm on the under as a lean. I think there should be an award in this country for anyone who's made money betting the ACC. I'd like to see people if you just had to bet these ACC games, and or if you just had to pick like the top 6 teams in their sort of straight up games and who wins. Like if they're just picking straight up winners to see if anyone did well. I'm lost in the ACC. There's even a scenario where they don't get to the playoff because they're not one of the top 5
Oh,
conference champs, right? So you'd have the Big Ten, SEC in terms of ranked, right? Big Ten,
yeah.
SEC, Big 12,
No
and
doubt.
then 2 other group of 5 conference champs that would be ranked higher than the ACC champ. So sort of the SMU, it's like the NBA has all those like clauses that like circumvent the cap, like the Stepien rule and stuff like that. Like
Can
they're
you?
having the SMU rule for the college football playoffs. They don't want these bad conference champs, like these teams that stumble in and win. They don't want them in the playoffs. So the ACC has just been a giant headache. Florida State as a favorite has not been good. Florida State as an underdog, much better. Far cry from when they beat Alabama in the opener. I would lean to the favorite actually, but I would lean under preferably.
We can't have both North Texas and Jimmy Madison in the college football playoff. We can only have one of them. Somebody in the ACC has to step up and make sure you don't get both of those teams in the college football playoff. The other game tonight is incredible. Of course, Hawaii and UNLV at Allegiant. 64 the total. UNLV is a 3-point favorite. I really like this Hawaii team, Doug. They've been good to me in a couple of spots this year, but it's got to be points tonight.
So I even heard Sharp Guy say this, not some idiot who usually jinxes things. I'm going to try to coin this WTF, right? We all know what that means, but it doesn't. Wrong team favored. A guy really, look. Dan Mullen's done a nice job. Okay, their offense is clicking, things like that. But the defense is horrendous. And Hawaii in years past has really struggled sort of on the mainland, right? They do well in Hawaii and things like that. But I think Hawaii's power rating on offense is sort of skewed. because Alejado missed 2 games and they had a much tougher non-conference. So like they went to Arizona and got boat raced. But Hawaii's actually been good in conference on the mainland. I think they're 2-2 overall on the road. I think they're doing really well. So I think Alejado, who had that ankle injury or something early in the season, they're going to sling it on this UNLV defense. Mullen does a nice job with the offense. Calandria has been fine too, dual threat quarterback. To your point, this is going to be a track beat. Now, when you have big totals, a long drive that stalls because they either go for it on 4th down.
Yep.
Now, both teams have good kickers. I mean, you got the Tokyo Toe for Hawaii, and then UNLV kicker is really good too. So I don't think there's going to be missed field goals, but there could be some drives that stall inside the 20, 4th and 3, and they go for it and don't get it. But these offenses are chunk plays. I mean, the Rebels played the Air Force and they had 100, I think, combined in the game.
Yep.
I think it's going to be one of those games. Hawaii will sling it. Really good receivers, and they're fast. The defense leaves a little bit to be desired. So I think this is an up and down track meet. I agree with you.
Let's go. Let's get it for tonight. Anything else? I know we did a lot of the games on Saturday. We've talked about a lot of things that we like already this week. Believe it or not, you talk about not the ACC. I was interested in Louisville against SMU, even though Louisville burned me last week. I'm thinking about Louisville as a dog. Come on, Louisville as a dog in Dallas. I might add him in. What about you, Doug? Is there anything you're looking at?
So you mentioned Jimmy Madison, and that reminded me. So James Madison's getting some steam lately, and basically, and I'm calling it up. They're in first place in the Sun Belt, and they're catching Washington State at home. So Wazoo, they're in the Pac-2. Okay, they don't really need this game. They beat up on La Tech last week, and we were on them last week. That line got steamed. It was a horrible travel spot for La Tech. Had to go across the country and then come back this week. This game matters much more. Washington State's got sort of an inflated power rating because they've caught some teams in really bad spots. Remember, they went to Ole Miss and lost by 3. I think they were up at halftime, but that was a classic sandwich spot. The Rebels would have drilled them any other week. Washington State's defense, like James Madison may score every possession. So some sharp guys I really respect are on the Dukes laying the 13.5. So I agree with that. I also got a text today. Texas State is like the banger of all bangers in terms of the sharpest syndicates have lined up on Texas State. Monroe's really bad. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. UL Monroe's dead last in the Sun Belt, 3-7. Well, actually, Georgia State is in their division. But Texas State sort of needs is going for bowl eligibility because they play Monroe this week and then South Alabama next week. They can win those. They just beat Southern Miss. So sometimes these teams get like a second wind and they start to click. So Texas State, it's big. It's a big number, 20.5, but I think that could be, again, if all the syndicates are lining up on that and it's justifiable, like they just beat Southern Miss, they need 2 more wins. They're facing the 2 bad teams in the conference. Like they're probably in a bet on spot, whereas some teams are checked out. Like I think Michigan State has checked out, right? They're 0-7. Last week they were at home. I think they got 1 foot out the door kind of thing. I think we're in that situation here.
All right, before we wrap things up, Doug, with the best bets in the Daily Double, anything in college basketball tonight? And I know, listen, college basketball fans, football is going to be over soon, and we're going to get a lot more college basketball cooking on a nightly basis. Good job by Wake last night in the Bahamas against Texas Tech, covering that number. Now, tonight, Wake plays Memphis, and Texas Tech plays Purdue. Those are the 2 games in the Bahamas, Doug. You have this Louisville-Cincinnati game as well. Is there anything in college basketball for you?
I think it was a little bit of a letdown spot for Purdue, and then they flipped it on late, right? And didn't get the cover, but they won by 9. I think that's misleading with Memphis. I think Memphis will be much better later in the season, but they have too many moving parts early on. And I like this Wake team. You've touched on it. They nearly took down Michigan. I think they're a good spot. They're a good team. They're much better in the big dog role, but I think it's a bet on team. If this were like 4, I wouldn't touch it, but I think 2.5 gets me involved with the Demon Deeks.
All right, so there you go. You got a couple of good ones, and listen, I know next week we'll have a lot of games. There's like all these games all over the place with these feast week and the holiday tournaments. We will get everything cooking there. All right, it is best bet time here on Betting Weekly Live, and of course the Daily Double. Once again, Monday, 4:00 East, we will be back. Moving up 1 hour, Betting Weekly Live. So 4:00 East is when we will get there. starting on Monday and all next week when we get together. So please set your alarms, all of those things. Get involved an hour earlier. All right, here we go. Now, I don't know if I was going to take this one from you. We both like this one a lot. But for my end, my best bet tonight, it is the track meet at Allegiant. I love the over in UNLV in Hawaii. Tee it high, let it fly. POINTS, 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 points. I'm taking the over, Doug.
It's almost the same game parlay because I was looking at the over, and I prefer the over. But since you took that, I was thinking about taking the Bows +3. But UNLV's been good, man. Like I'm really excited, living here, rooting for them. I like that the program's back on track, right? For so many years, I covered this program, and they couldn't get out of their own way. It was 4 wins, was like the max. When I first came here, Mike Sanford, a former NFL OC, was the coach. Sorry, it was the head coach. And they did get the bowl eligibility one year, things like that. But now they're 8, 9, 10 wins, and Barry Odom, and now Dan Mullen. So I think it's really kind of exciting. But I do think the Bows +3 is the right side, but that will not be my best bet. We will not have a same game parlay. We have yet to do that for the daily double. I'm going back to Benedict Mathurin. Remember, that game is a high total, 2 threes. Now it's a little juicy at -141, so we're not getting the monster payout in the daily double. So that's a little disappointing, but we're still going to get well over 220 is a sizable payout for the daily double, which, it's all you can ask for. We've done well with the 265s, but we're not going to get there. But hey, I like how sequentially this will work out, right? We're going to have the earlier, Mathurin. Hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully he'll get there by halftime like he did in the last game. And then we can flip over and just kind of root home points out here in Vegas. So +221, I'm excited about.
Remember, Doug, I think we've had at least 2 of these a week since we started doing it. So you get 2 of these a week. If we can get a second one tonight for this week, they're plus weeks. That's why
we've only had one this week. We've only hit one this week.
Wednesday we hit. Yeah, Wednesday was the only one.
Well, I hope people are betting them individually because we've done really well.
We've done really well on that aspect. So the daily double tonight, Hawaii and UNLV over 64, Mathurin 2 +3s. That is +221 at Bet Rivers. The daily double for this evening. Let's finish the week in a very strong way.
So quick math here. So I could be messing up. If you count my Patriots at 12.5 and not 13 through 3 weeks, so 14, right? 5, and now we're only 4 days in, and we're gonna have the 5th one today. We're each 11-3 as our best bets.
Incredible.
You started 10-0, so well done. So but whatever. 1-3, okay, come on, 10-0. 11-3 apiece. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Really good for us so far. So let's have ourselves a big Friday night and a big weekend. Again, Monday, 4 o'clock East, 1 o'clock Pacific. Betting Weekly Live. We'll be back. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, great job as always. Great job by the crew. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games. Betting Weekly Live, Betting Weekly Studios, Monday, 4 p.m. East. We'll see you then.